Hello everybody, Hassan here, engineer, MBA, and investor. In today's video, I want to talk about a company we haven't spoken about in this channel, Airbnb. Why are we talking about this company? Why does this company matter? And why we have this video, I'll explain shortly. Before we do that, guys, please like this video, please subscribe. A lot of you have been liking our videos, subscribing. It's really helping the channel. And don't forget, like the comment section, if you have any questions, concern, feedback, or even an input you want to add on to our videos, please leave it in the comment below. We try to respond to every single comment out there. So I wanted to make this video today on Airbnb. Now, Airbnb is a company that went public in the public markets just a few months ago. In 2021, they went public. They were supposed to go public in 2020, but the pandemic hit and they basically delayed their plans. Now, Airbnb, obviously, it's a brand. Everyone knows about it. This company is known all over the travel industry. It has revolutionized the way we see traveling, right? What is Airbnb? And it's essentially a company that has a website, a mobile app that allows hosts, people that own real estate, people that own homes to connect with travelers, right? So basically, they offer their homes, their apartments to travelers for a short term duration. Now, Airbnb has expanded those services. That's how they started in the late 2000s. They expanded those services now to experiences, and they're even venturing in the hotel side of things, but we'll talk about that shortly. But why we are making this video is because we believe in this channel energy is a big vertical in of technology that will disrupt the next decades, right? Airbnb, although it is a travel type of company, yes, it's a website slash mobile app. However, they are literally changing the way we travel. They're changing the way we see traveling. And this isn't just leisure, this is also business, right? If anyone knows a little bit about hotels and such industries, these are big infrastructure. They really do pollute the world in terms of cost, in terms of maintenance, in terms of all the personnel that is required. Now, I know a lot of people have their jobs tied to hotels and so on, but the reality of the things is these are big infrastructure that require a lot of maintenance, and these are big hotels named, right? Marriott, we talk about Hilton, we talk about all these hotels, right? Big franchises all around the world, and they really do require a lot of maintenance. They take up a lot of space, and it does remove the 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 pleasure of traveling a little bit because it's something formal, right? When you think about hotel, you don't think about home, you don't think about, you know, a personal touch. It's very formal, it's very generic, it's very oriented towards suits and ties. However, Airbnb totally disrupted that. Personally, whenever I traveled in the past, obviously before the pandemic, always use Airbnb. The only time I've used hotels were for work, but even then I do believe that this will change. We in this channel, we believe in energy, we believe in the idea that companies venturing in these technologies will disrupt the upcoming decades, and many companies B2B will no longer want their employees to go with hotels and legacy industries. We truly believe energy, green energy will be a big topic, and this is why I'm making this video. I want to expose the company Airbnb. I want to raise the awareness of this company. Now everyone knows about the brand, but do you guys know that it's a public company you can definitely invest in? And that's what I wanted to mention in this video. And again, guys, this is not financial advice. You guys have to do your own research. We do not provide financial advice in this channel. Now, this is the shareholder letter that we're looking at in this video. And this is the latest shareholder Q1 2021 from Airbnb. And again, a couple notes, guys. We are still in a pandemic. In many regions around the world, there is significant lockdowns. Just in Montreal slash Quebec, there's still curfew and lockdowns as we speak. In May 18, 2021, there is still a lockdown and curfew in certain regions. So you have to keep that in mind, right? And you can clearly see that nights and experience books has increased year over year, right? Year over year, 13%, right? So obviously, the pandemic, this is comparing to the pandemic as well. So we did expect some sort of double digits percentage growth. Just keep that in mind. Talks about how the strength in North America, domestic travel, nearby travel, long term stays, right? What are long term stays? This is another topic that I haven't mentioned earlier, but we talked about short-term stays, travel for 2 3 weeks, couple of days. But there is an offering in Airbnb where you can sort of rent a place for a month, for few months, and that's sort of like a short-term lease. So they definitely offer that, and that's definitely gaining traction. And you see here just another digit here that it attract over 10 billion booking in Q1 2021, and that's a 52% year over year increase, right? In revenue, in terms of revenue, we're looking at a 5% increase. This is a strong demonstration of Airbnb resilience. Again, we're only looking at specific and numbers, and we're looking at here at this quarter. They did have a net loss, right? They did have a net loss, and again, when you have these fast-paced companies, these R&D focused companies, when you have these tech companies, you want to see net loss because you want to see those amounts being poured into R&D expenses, G&A expenses, and all sorts of expenses that come with growth, right? We all know about the Amazon story, the Tesla story. It's like a slingshot, right? You have to step back to go forward, and you really have to invest in your company to really go forward. You cannot just have a company that really starts off with profit and you don't need to invest in R&D and you don't need to invest in G&A expenses. That just that's not a reflection of tech companies. That's not a reflection of high growth companies. And if we take a look at here, adjusted EBITDA, obviously we won't go over this, but really what I want to mention, guys, is that even during the worst pandemic in 100 years, Airbnb has stood. It's still a brand. I think there's a 95% of their traffic is done directly on Airbnb. What does that figure mean? That means that people go on Airbnb directly through the URL airbnb.com, or they open up the app. That's 95% of their customers. So 5% of their customers is reached through mediums like Google and other social media platforms. And that's enormous bullish sign, guys. That is bullish. That is evidence that this company Airbnb is a brand. It's a household brand. Many people from different age groups know about Airbnb. In fact, when one of the people I know, they're over 60s, and they mentioned that they were getting an Airbnb last year, to me that solidified my thesis that Airbnb is not just a newer generations brand, right? You have many companies that are just known by the newer generations, but Airbnb is a well-known brand from all different age groups. Anyone that travels, anyone that is interested in traveling knows about Airbnb, and this brand is just, there's just so much awareness of this brand. Now, in this shareholder letter, obviously they provide their financial results and they talk about how millions of people are looking forward to travel. The pandemic changed things. Obviously, airlines got affected. Many of the hotels got affected, and Airbnb also got affected, right? They had to cut, I think it was like 20 or 30% of their workforce they had to cut. And what's really interesting is they cut many people from the marketing side of things, yet their exposure in terms of traffic has increased over time, right? So even despite cutting marketing, individuals cutting marketing jobs from their company, they were able to expand their audience, expand their traffic, and that's just bullish signs, guys. You want to see that in a company. You want to see a company with a strong brand. You want to see those figures like 95% directly traffic directly to their website slash app. It's something that it's extremely bullish because don't forget, mediums like Google and other social media platform ads and so on, these are high cost, right? And many companies use advertisement marketing to have that type of traffic. But when you have a brand like Airbnb that gets direct traffic, that's just extremely bullish, right? And like, try to think about Airbnb. Obviously, it started as a short-term stays company where it allows you to connect hosts with travelers, but now they've expanded to long-term stays. They're now expanding to experiences. And what if they expand even further with travel, the travel industry? I mean, you have to let that wander, right? These types of thoughts have to come in your mind when you try to analyze these types of companies. Now, here they talk about business highlights. Here they're talking about how people are ready to travel. Just when Prime Minister Boris Johnson in UK, when they announced that they were exiting the lockdown, there was a sharp increase in France because of the travel restrictions. And just going back on the UK, there was also a sharp increase in bookings in UK as the Prime Minister announced exiting lockdown. So these are just showing signs. Again, this company is has all the data. Airbnb is hosted on AWS. Everything's on cloud. They have low cost in terms of infrastructure. Don't forget, this is just a company that runs a website and an app with databases on AWS, which is Amazon service, cloud service. They don't have that infrastructure that hotels have. They don't have the, you know, the workforce that hotels have. They have less cost, they have less anchors, and obviously when the pandemic hit, they were able to cut their employees. That's unfortunate. You never want to cut employees, but it is what it is. The fact that they were able to cut their employees and still come out strong, even today after a year in the pandemic, that is just bullish signs, guys. There's nothing worse in terms of travel when there's a pandemic, right? There's actually nothing worse. Maybe like, violent attacks or like something along those lines, but the pandemic is literally the worst thing because all the airlines stopped, the traveling industry stopped, people stayed at home. But now with the vaccines, people are traveling, people are looking to travel. Every time you go on Airbnb, the company gets data, they know you want to travel, they can capitalize on that, they can promote that, they can really, they have the data to know that traveling will pick up, and that's what they're mentioning in this business highlight. And here it says Airbnb travels new ways to travel, right? Obviously, we talked about this domestic travel. So yes, in the past, people would travel to, if you live in North countries, you would travel to South countries, get an all resort, get something that's more formal, a package. But things have changed in 2021. It's more customized. It's more, you feel more at home by getting those Airbnb stays at specific hosts that live in the city, and then you can get those types of activities that they promote through experiences and so on. So it's all the ecosystem there. It's a lifestyle. It's a new total addressable market that Airbnb has unlocked. And obviously, guests are not just traveling on Airbnb; they're living on Airbnb, right? You see here long-term stays, 20 days or more. That's all about short-term rentals, right? We talked about this. Not short-term, sorry, the long-term lease. We talked about this, right? Couple of months. You stay in a house, you stay in a home. It allows you flexibility with working from home. People can now travel in outside the city. They can go to their cottages. They can go to any sort of far distance place home that Airbnb can offer because they have the host, they have the platform, they have the brand to promote such activity. It's definitely unlocking a new total addressable market, guys. TAM is extremely important when you analyze these types of companies. And you can talk, they talk a little bit more about the confidence that their guests have when they come and book on Airbnb. And there's millions of hosts ready to welcome guests. So again, when you have these types of companies, the big issue is having the number of hosts slash guests. You don't want to have way too many guests with little hosts, and you don't want to have way too many hosts with little guests. The balance is there. People are starting to travel again. The pandemic is lifting off for many regions, including North America and many cities. And their 2020 plan, again, this is more outlook. Again, these are high level things. You don't really have to, you know, get stuck on those, but just know that they want to educate the world about how Airbnb is different in terms of hosting. They want to recruit more hosts. They want to simplify the guest journey. It's all about UX, UI on their mobile app, their website. Amazon perfected this, right? The whole one click idea, right? And e-commerce, they revolutionized the e-commerce. In the past, it was a hassle to order things online. Amazon has lowered that hassle. This is just using the same playbook. How can we lower the hassle of traveling? We want people to travel. We want people to have those experiences. We want people to have a world-class service where they can have a proper customized field experience, and it's just changing the world in terms of how we want to live our lives, how we want to travel, how we want to experience those types of events. And now here I'm going to be attending this May 24th. This is like in 6 days. Looks like Brian Chesky will have a session here. And really quick note on Brian Chesky, is the CEO of Airbnb. He founded Airbnb in the late 2000s with Joe and Nathan. So, a quick note on him, he is probably one of the most revolutionary CEOs I've seen thus far, right? So, besides Elon Musk and maybe Brian Armstrong from Coinbase, I do believe he will be up there in the upcoming years. He is extremely relentless. He works extremely hard. Fun fact, he was a bodybuilder before in the early 2000s when he was finishing high school and starting college. He was a professional bodybuilder, but he is relentless. He has been the CEO of Airbnb since its foundation over 10 years. This guy is extremely on the ball. He's under 40. He has a lot of energy. Every time he speaks on interviews, he's well spoken. He spoke about how they cut marketing and he felt really bad cutting those employees. But the truth of the matter is, they had no choice because of the pandemic. But how things are going, the traffic is picking up, and they still have not hired those additional marketing employees and so on. And that just, these are things that, and the pandemic was a bad thing obviously for Airbnb, but there's still a silver lining to that, and he capitalized on it for sure, especially where we are today in the month of May 2021. You can see that from this quarterly report. And besides that, there was a book from Brad Stone, the author of many of the Amazon books. He wrote the Upstarts, and he talks about how Airbnb came about. And Brian Chesky, Nathan, Joe, the three founders, they're extremely relentless. They work very hard. They had a vision, they committed to it, and they executed it no matter what. They've had a lot of issues over the years, right? A lot of controversy. There's big risks associated with this company in terms of regulations. We haven't spoken about this in this video, but it's definitely worth looking into it. Many cities have been in talks to taxing them more, to even banning them in certain regions, zoning them out. But the reality of the things is, guys, cities will always appreciate more taxes, more profits, and Airbnb has paid a fair share of taxes. I think in their latest press release, they announced that they gave like three. I think they announced that they gave like $3 or $4 billion in to cities. I think maybe if we can find it here, let's just go back here. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't think we will be able to find it here. Let's take a look here. I think we'll be able to find it. Yeah, tax update. Airbnb delivers $3.4 billion in taxes to governments, right? So this is nearly more than 1 billion in September 2020. And don't forget, we're still in a pandemic in many regions. This is just going to expand. This brand is increasing. Again, the leadership is there. There's a significant need to travel again. There's a significant need to disrupt the legacy industries in the traveling industry, whether that's hotels, whether that's other mediums in terms of traveling. We talk about resorts and so on. So keep that in mind, guys, when you review this company. Again, all we do in this channel is we want to promote companies that will disrupt our future, and we strongly believe Airbnb has a place in it. We believe they're part of the energy vertical. They will definitely reduce the energy output from legacy industries. Again, all that infrastructure that you need in terms of having those buildings with hotels, that manpower, that maintenance, right? This is huge, huge, huge energy output that Airbnb is disrupting. What if we use existing homes and existing real estate of individuals, of citizens, and revamp that to an experience where travelers can also capitalize on it and can enjoy and can have a more home field experience? That's all I wanted to mention in this video. Hopefully this video gave you guys some exposure to this company and why we believe this company is definitely a company to watch out for. Again, we do not provide financial advice. Please do your own research. If you like this video, subscribe if you haven't. And if you have any questions, comment, or anything you want to say about Airbnb or even the travel industry, leave a comment below and we'll see each other in the next video. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day. Thank you.